another win over the weekend. The Sooners still dropped in the AP Top 25, falling from 4th to 5th after being, leapfrogged by LSU.
Leapfrog.
Quite a win. I know. I don't know if you were going to like that word. Skip, you have been all in on Jalen and the Sooners.
I have.
Do you have a problem with this?
I was outraged when I saw this. And I got a little outraged listening to the great Kirk Herbstreit do the telecast on Saturday night. I watched the whole game, and I love Kirk, and I'm usually right with Kirk in his evaluations and impressions and opinions. But as the game wore on, he was starting to make the case, LSU looks so good tonight, maybe they should vault to number one. And I believe that swayed some of the voters. Like, to number one, I'm watching LSU give up 530 yards to Sam Ehlinger and the Texas Longhorns, albeit in Austin. But LSU has gone from defense, all defense, to all offense and no defense. 530 yards, and all of a sudden you leapfrog a team, Oklahoma, that can only do what it does. It can beat Houston, it can beat South Dakota.
Well, stop playing South Dakota.
It's like,
you put them on the schedule.
What did St. Nick say the other day? We'll play anybody. You can't get anybody to play you.
Yeah, they scared it. Yeah. Do you want to? Is that what you want on your resume in the regular season? Do you really want Alabama in the regular season on your resume if you're not in the SEC? I don't think so.
You want Lincoln Riley's offense on your schedule? You do not.
I want them because guess what? You don't keep that offense out there all the time. You got to play defense, and your defense is garbage. But anyway, Skip,
it's not as much garbage as it used to be.
Skip, look at LSU. Joe Burrow's through for the transfer from Ohio State, through for the second most yards in LSU history.
Okay.
They had, for the first time in LSU history, 3 receivers go over 100 yards. As you mentioned, they're not a dot the I tossing to them. Now they're a throwing team. I think the coordinator came from on the staff at the Saints.
Yep.
And they've Edgeron and said, "Oh, bro, whatever you want, you got my blessing."
Okay.
And that's the way they're going to play. Now, Alabama got their work cut out for them.
Texas is a what conference defense? It's a Big
12.
12. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you blast the Big 12. You ridicule the Big 12.
Yeah.
You say anybody could throw for 600 yards.
That's why Jalen Hurts got 700 yards in 2 games. There you go.
Okay.
And he had one 300-yard game.
So the biggest issue for me that I have is the fact that we have to have this conversation because there's only 4 teams they let in the playoffs, right? Like, why do I only get to see 4 teams play against each other in the playoffs, right? Because that'd be the same thing if it's in the NCAA in basketball. We just go right to the Final Four, right? To me, there are a lot of good teams out there. Auburn, Alabama, Texas, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State. There's some really good teams out there who I would love to see those teams duke it out and battle it out in the playoff system. But
how many? 8?
8, 10.
But then they're going to say 12, and then they're going to say 16.
Right.
And pretty soon it's going to be just like hockey. Everybody getting the playoff. No. I tell you what you do. All you got to do is just win your games. Maybe get to your conference, win your conference. If you win all your games and lose the championship game, maybe you get a chance. But don't be mad because we Bama. And we there every year, the Alabama Invitational. We'll decide who gets invited.
I won't be mad if you take care of LSU for me. Because that game's at Tuscaloosa.
Really?
Why we need to take care of y'all for you? Handle y'all business. Y'all worry about Sam Ehlinger.
We can't handle that business. We don't get to play LSU.
Texas got something for y'all.
We'd put up 70.
That's going to be a fun one.
And this is the best LSU offense that we've ever seen. Ever.
I might even go to the Red River Rivalry, go to that big county fair.
You guys, let's do the show from there.
We are.
Well, you guys are going to be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, we want to do that. Let's do the Red River.
Corn dogs.
Feel free.
Fried turkey legs.
I just want to go to the county fair.
Yeah, well, clearly you would be all about the fair. I'll work on that. I'll see what I can do.
Fried Twinkies. How them fried Twinkies do?
Real good. Don't worry, I've tried them. Don't worry, guys. You can catch Reggie every Saturday on Big Noon Kickoff, the new college football show on Fox. We're loving watching you guys. Thank you for coming in. Is it too early to start comparing the Cowboys' current weapons to their 90s dynasty? We're going to go there. That's next. From all-time great Jerry Rice, but not in a good way. Following Brown's release from the Raiders, Rice said, quote, "We all got played." Rice went on to say that Brown personally told him that he wanted to play football in the Bay Area. It's been reported that AB hired a consulting firm to aid him in getting cut from the Raiders and that he did whatever he could just so he could land in New England. Interesting stuff there. Shannon, do you agree with Jerry Rice that Antonio Brown played the Raiders?
No, because to believe that this AB had this elaborate plan laid out, you'd be foolish, as foolish as AB has been over the last 6 months or the last 7 months of this situation. So we're to believe that AB either went into a cryo chamber with no shoes or wet shoes, knowing that I'm going to get frostbiting feet. So, Skip, I might even lose my feet, but at least I'll be up out of Oakland. Nah, I don't think so. So, and it's reported that he hired a company to help facilitate what could he do to get up out of Oakland. Did he hire before or after he skipped walkthroughs? Did he hire them before or after he skipped practice? It wasn't until he got fined that now all of a sudden, and he's like, what he reported, Skip? Oh, they're taking away my guaranteed money. It was after we got played, after the Raiders was going to get that guaranteed money back, we got played. No, Skip, what happened was the Raiders was going to hold him accountable for his actions. Actions have consequences. And if you don't want those consequences, don't commit those acts. It's as simple as that. AB, for the longest time, has skated, Skip. This was not the first time that AB had missed a walkthrough. This was not the first time that AB had missed a practice, but I believe this was the first time that he had been held accountable. And it's like a child. Skip, you can give a child whatever you want. Give him ice cream, cookies, and candy. But he goes to the store, and the first time he doesn't get something that he wants, what they do? They yelling and screaming and kicking on the floor. Grandma tell me, my brother, you show out, you get woe out, wherever. AB showed out on the Raiders' watch, and they said, nah, we ain't putting up with this. We finna nip this in the bud. But it was too late, Skip, because Pittsburgh had let this skate for such a long time. He felt emboldened. He felt entitled. Do y'all know who I am? I'm AB. I've led the league in receiving 3 or 4 times. I've led the league in receiving yards a couple of times, receiving touchdowns. Man, y'all better give me a different set of rules than everybody else. And lo and behold, he goes to the past 7 years, Skip. He's been in a situation where he's been the guy and he's played by a different set of rules. So he wanted to facilitate a situation where he gets to go to a team where everybody is treated exactly the same, no matter how good or how bad you are. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for 1 second that AB had this elaborate plan. It just so happens that AB is 31 years of age. He's a very productive receiver, and there was always going to be a market because we've seen guys get opportunities, Skip, second, third opportunity, that have done far worse things than what AB's done. But to think he had this elaborate plan from day one hatched out, I don't believe that.
I do. I don't believe it was AB's elaborate plan. I believe it was Belichick's elaborate plan, orchestrating through the agent Drew Rosenhaus down to AB. And everything that happened in Oakland looked premeditated to me, except for the cryotherapy, unless it was just a happy accident for AB. And I got to knock on wood for him. You know, hope his feet are okay, because you don't want to risk losing your feet.
Right.
But they just got burned, a layer of skin. He lost 1 layer of skin, and then it looked like he bounced back pretty quickly from that. That was just stupidity on his part.
Right.
Because I don't think that would be part of a premeditated plan, because it's just too dangerous to risk.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm with you on that part. But all the missed meetings, all the bad body language, all the hard knocks where we saw him standing in the doorway at the back of the room during the first players meeting in camp, everything that he did smacked of over-the-top, get-me-out-of-here sort of behavior, where he was just daring them to cut bait with him before the opening game. And at
what
first,
if they left that guarantee in place?
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up, because you took the words out of my mouth. So I thought, how could you leave $30 million on the table in Oakland to go? Because I thought if he's going to wind up in New England, he's going to have to, quote unquote, crawl to New England and play for the minimum. But he gets $10 million guaranteed, which can become 15 if he makes the incentives this year. They're probably very reachable if he just plays, if he just shows up and plays. And then next year, the report is that he could get then $20 million guaranteed. Well, that could be a max of $35 million over the next 2 years if you are a model citizen and you play by their rules, which are the hardest rules to play by in the league. But if you do, you're going to make more money in New England than you would have made in Oakland.
What's the likelihood you think he plays on a receiver having a $20 million cap hit?
That he pays him?
Yes.
Well,
that he makes $20 million next year.
Okay. Is he Randy Moss? Is that what he's going to look like? Again, I have my doubts. I have grave doubts. You have your doubts about it. But again, it's right there. So the incentive became the opposite of what I anticipated from Belichick. He's put the biggest carrot out there like, hey, you can make all